Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala Sayyidil Mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. The people in the Arabian Peninsula were polytheists. They were worshipping stones and idols. The question is, what was the nature of their practices, religious practices? And what was the kind of worship they were making? So one of them was a concept that they are very powerful. We have to go around this stone. We have to make tawaf around this stone, this idol. This was one of the kind of worships. Some of them were taking animals at that place in Qudayd or Yemen or Mecca or Ta'if, and they were slaughtering animals. One of the kind of worship was giving charity on the name of these idols. One of the kind of worship was to devote certain animals and certain growing fields, agricultural fields, on the name of these idols. And one of the type of worship was to know from them their will by throwing these arrows, whether the god, the minor god or the false god wills our journey or not, our marriage or not. So this was the kind of ibadah and worship they were making, certain acts. Like you see nowadays, the people in India, the Hindus, they go to the statue, they worship there, and they beg there, and they ask these false gods to protect them from mishappenings and from calamities, and they seek help in the benefits of this dunya. So let's try to understand the attitude of mushrikeen mentioned in Surah Al-An'am, ayah number 136, Surah Al-An'am, surah number 6. وَجَعَلُوا لِلَّهِ مِمَّا زَرَعَ مِنَ الْحَرْثِ وَالْأَنْعَامِ نَصِيبًا. And these polytheists of Arabia, they made a share from the agricultural produce as well as from the cattle for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And فَقَالُوا, and they devoted part of their cattle and part of their agricultural fields for their charity. فَقَالُوا, they said, هَذَا لِلَّهِ. They were saying, the charity of this tree is for Allah. The charity of this cattle is for Allah. هَذَا لِلَّهِ بِزَعْمِهِمْ وَهَذَا لِشُرَكَائِي. And this charity is for our shuraka, our minor gods, our idols. And لِشُرَكَائِنَا, هَذَا لِشُرَكَائِنَا. And they had a sign on the cattle or on the sheep that this is a sign that it shows it is devoted for this god. And similarly, the agricultural produce. Similarly, the date trees were assigned with a mark that this is for charity of this god. فَمَا كَانَ لِشُرَكَائِهِمْ فَلَا يَصِلُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَمَا كَانَ لِلَّهِ فَهُوَ يَصِلُ إِلَى شُرَكَائِهِ. Now, when the agricultural produce used to come from these trees and from these trees, from these fields and from these fields, they were saying whatever was intended for Allah, that can be mixed up with this charity. But the charity that was given for the false gods cannot be mixed with this. وَمَا كَانَ لِلَّهِ فَهُوَ يَصِلُ إِلَى شُرَكَائِهِمْ سَاءَ مَا يَحْكُمُونَ. Allah said, you see what a bad or what a evil that they have decided. That everything is created by Allah. The charity must be given only for the sake of securing and seeking pleasure from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So charity in Islam is forbidden for any deity other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Quran very clearly says, Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. My 5-time prayer, my salah, my charity, my sacrifice, nusuki, my life, mahyaya, my death, wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. It is only for Allah, the Rabbul Alameen, one who is running the show of the entire universe. And in Suratul Kawthar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. That pray for your Lord, لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. And all the sacrifice, all the charity which you do, it must be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. So this concept was totally rejected by Islam, that the charity can be given for so many other gods other than the Creator God. So God is one, and the sajda and the ruku and salah, all the virtues and all the kinds of rituals, they have to be offered only to seek the pleasure of one single God. And whatever is done to please the false gods and idols is made haram by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similarly, they had certain bad practices which they received from their forefathers. Besides, وَقَالُوا هَذِهِ أَنْعَامٌ وَحَرْثٌ حِجْرٌ لَا يَطْعَمُهَا إِلَّا مَنْ نَشَاءُ بِزَعْمِهِمْ وَأَنْعَامٌ حُرِّمَتْ ظُهُورُهَا. They were saying there are certain cattle on which you cannot ride. For example, if a female camel was giving 5 babies consequently, they were saying that this is a holy camel because it gave birth for 5 times. 5 times. And they were saying now, it is holy, we cannot ride upon it. وَأَنْعَامٌ لَا يَذْكُرُونَ اسْمَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ حُرِّمَتْ ظُهُورُهَا. There were some cattle, they were not loading them, and they were not using them for carrying their luggage. So this was a superstition they had, whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not make these rules and laws. They were man-made, self-made laws and innovations. They were illegal. And لَا يَذْكُرُونَ اسْمَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ. And on certain animals, they were not taking the name of Allah. They were just killing. إِفْتِرَاءً عَلَيْهِ سَيَجْزِيهِمْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَفْتَرُونَ. This was a slander. This was an allegation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah said they shall get the punishment for this false allegation made towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah has not ordered that certain camels and certain animals cannot be ridden and cannot be used for taking the loads, and they cannot be used for transportation. And another aqidah or another belief they had, these mushrikeen of Mecca, which is mentioned in Surah Al-An'am, ayah number 139. They said, when they were slaughtering the animal, sometimes they were finding a baby inside, a baby side. وَقَالُوا مَا فِي بُطُونِ هَذِهِ الْأَنَامِ خَالِصَةً لِلذُّكُورِنَا. They were saying this baby which was inside the animal when they slaughtered, it is only for men, only men can eat. وَمُحَرَّمٌ عَلَىٰ أَزْوَاجِنَا. Ladies cannot eat this animal. وَإِن يَكُنْ مَيْتَةً فَهُوَ فِيهِ شُرَكَاءُ. And if they used to find a dead body inside the cattle or camel or a goat or a calf, they were saying this dead baby can be eaten by both men and women. If it was alive, it was only lawful for men, and it was made haram for the women. And Allah warned again, سَيَجْزِيهِمْ وَصْفَهُمْ إِنَّهُ حَكِيمٌ عَلِيمٌ. So Allah will punish for their crime because they made these wrong concepts that this is haram and this is halal, iftira'an alay. This the man-made rules of lawful and unlawful. Innahu hakimun alim. He is all wise, he is hakim, he is all knowledgeable, he is alim. He knows what exactly should be made lawful, halal for human beings, and he knows exactly what should be made haram and unlawful for mankind. When he makes anything halal, it is tayyib, it is pure, it is beneficial for the mankind. When God makes something haram, unlawful, it is always, it is something impure, khabith, and it is harmful, non-beneficial for mankind. So the right of making something halal and haram, the right of making something lawful and unlawful is the right of God. Man has no right to make halal and haram. And this is the concept that is given by Quran, and rejecting the ideas of mushrikeen who were saying that any dead animal is lawful for us. And not only that, they were making fun of Muslims, and they were saying, well, whatever these Muslims are strange people. Whatever is killed by God, whatever is dead is unlawful for these Muslims. And when they slaughter, they kill with the name of Allah, they think it is halal. So instead of repenting on their attitude, they were insisting the roadmap that was given wrongly by their forefathers, and they were criticizing Muslims. So this was the kind of shirk, kind of polytheism adopted by the people in Arabian Peninsula, and still it is practiced all over the world in different areas, that the acts of worship are not done only to one God, but the acts of worship are done towards many false gods. And the charity is given on the name of different false gods. Islam says that every action by a human being, whether it is an act of worship or whether it is a charity or any other act, in fact, it should be only to seek the pleasure of one and only God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Creator. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.